Oh, hi AP Theory. I didn't see you guys there. I'm just walking to my car on Thursday, ready to head out, and I couldn't help but think that we haven't learned about minor chords yet. Ugh. Or should I say minor scales yet? Ugh. So we're gonna do that while I drive home. So come aboard the choir Jeep with me, and let's get into the beautiful world of minor scales. But before we begin, any plans for the weekends? Anything fun going on? Yes, Robert. Oh wow, that's really cool. Megan? Nothing? Megan didn't want to say anything? That's totally fine. Costa, good weekend ahead? Yes? Isel? What do you mean you're not doing anything? You're just gonna do homework? I get it. That's fun. Moy? Hanging out with friends, Moy? That's really nice. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Good. Alright, and I think that's everyone. Janie, I didn't even see you. Janie, I can't believe you are in class today. I am so excited. We have a lot to catch you up on. I'm very glad that you are back and you're okay and you are ready to rock and roll. Wow, Janie, this is really special. So glad you're here. Very, very glad. All right, before we learn about the three forms of minor, we need to review a little. Oh, good morning, Jehu. Oh my gosh. Sleepyhead, welcome on in. Jehu, what are you doing this weekend? Very nice. I'm glad you could be here. Next time, try to be here on time, sir. All right, let's continue. Before we kick off the lesson, we need to review. It's very, very important. From major to minor, there are two ways of getting there. The first way to get there is how, Mr. Dipper? That's right, through relative minor. Yes? So we go from relative major to relative minor. Dipper, spin! Spin! We're still working on that one. And the second way we get from major to minor is through parallel motion. So we're going to use our parallel minor scale. Right, Ali? She says yeah. So why don't we go ahead and review using the homework. Let's start right away with relative minor, which is going to be this D major example, the very first one we did here. And let's break this down. So I'm going to erase this just to give myself more room. Okay, so for D major, the trick is to always start with major. And you can do this two ways. So I'm going to draw a little bar line. And it doesn't matter how you get to major as long as you get to major. So you can start with D and whole, half, whole, half, all the way up until you figure out all of the accidentals. And then at the very end, you can double check your work to make sure, oh yeah, key of D has two sharps in it. There are my two sharps. Or you can do a separate method, which is writing in your circles, just all the way up from D to D. Go look at your key signature that you know, and you know your order of sharps. See, hey, there's an F sharp in it and a C sharp in it, and just fill it in. We're not spending too much time on figuring out major because you have a lot of different tools on how to get there, and I hope that you use them. So however it is you get to the scale, that is all I care about. Okay, for relative minor, what I wanted you to do was write in the scale degrees, because scale degrees are important because they tell us where 6 is. And when you're looking for relative minor, you always look for 6. So 6 right here is going to be B. So all I'm going to do is write in my D major scale, but I'm going to start on B. And it's going to go, instead of D to D, it's going to go B to B, making sure I have all the same notes. So an E goes to E, F sharp down here, G to G, A to A, and finally B to B. And as you can see, I start on B right here, and I end on B up here, and this gives me the relative minor of D, which is B minor. Yes, so that's kind of how we do the relatives. We just write out the major scale, go to 6, and go from 6, yeah? Let's go ahead and do parallel. I'll start down here. This is our only other parallel example, thanks to, I think Moy did that to us. So here we go. Let's go ahead and look at B. So the first things first, I'm going to start off with B major, and we won't spend too much time on how to get the major because we've done a little bit about that. But you just whole half, whole half, all your way to the top, or you remember your key signature, and your key signature should have 5 sharps in it, and you write in your sharps as you get all the way to B. Yes? Once again, I'm going to write in my scale degrees because those are important. 6, 7, and 8. I'm moving fast because hopefully we all did the homework. So here are my scale degrees. Now to get from parallel major to parallel minor, remember this is now same starting place, different DNA, right? It's the opposite of you and your relatives. So the way that you do it is you just flat 3 notes over here. You flat the 3rd, you flat the 6th, and you flat the 7th. And that is it. Don't change anything else about the scale, but you just flat those 3 notes and you are right as rain, which is awesome. So if I go ahead and look at the 3rd scale degree right here, here is number 3, here's number 6, and number 7. There is a sharp there. So how do I flat a sharp? I don't put a flat there because now I'm going from a sharp down to a flat, and that's kind of a whole step. It's kind of a far jump. Instead, I put a natural sign because the natural brings it from the elevated sharp down 1/2 step to its white counterpart. Yeah? And if you have trouble kind of picturing that, you can pause the video and maybe someone in the class can explain it to you. Or I'll explain it to you when I come back and I'm back in school working hard. Okay, sharp goes to natural, sharp goes to natural. Boom. And now looking at my signature here, I have flatted the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th, and I now have my B minor scale, which only has 2 sharps in it, this one and this one. Now the 2 sharps that I do have, just for funsies, this wasn't required on your homework, the 2 sharps I do have now are F sharp and C sharp, and that happens to be the key of D. And hey, look at that, key of D up here and B minor are relatives. So I know that I did my work right because B minor and D major are relatives. So these are relationships that stay the same. So B major to B minor, you just flat the 3rd, 6th, and the 7th. Okay, so that was a review of how to get from major to minor. But what about now that you're in minor? What kind of minor scales can we have? Well, there just so happens to be 3 different forms of minor. And these are different than relative and parallel. Relative and parallel get you to minor, but now that we're in minor, B minor, C minor, G minor, whatever it is, now that you're already there, there are certain scales that we can play with. So let's talk about that. Actually, come take a walk with me. There's a big meaty squirrel up there. Do you see him in the tree? Oh, there he goes. Dipper wants him. Okay, so the first form of minor is called natural minor. And natural minor is the most natural of all the minors. It just is minor. It's very basic minor. It is the minor that we've been talking about. So whether you use relative or parallel to get to minor, the flat 3rd, 6th, and 7th, easy peasy. That's just minor. It's natural. Everything we do is in natural minor. It's just chill. The second form of minor is a little bit different, and it is called harmonic minor. And in harmonic minor, we raise the harmonic notes. We give it harmonic structure once again, and that note is the 7th note. The very magical note we call the leading tone. The leading tone is the tone that leads into the key. So in the key of C, the tone that leads into C is B, B natural, a 1/2 step below C. In the key of A, the leading tone is a 1/2 step below A, so it'd be G sharp. In the key of E is an elephant, it would be D sharp, right? It's the tone right before the tonic. The tone right before Do, the tone right before you get to the key center, right? So that's the leading tone. In the key of C, a flatted 7th is B flat, not B natural. And that actually causes a lot of harmonic issues and gives you a very weak chord progression if you were to start playing chords with flat 7ths instead of raised 7ths like you do in major. So that kind of creates a little bit of an issue actually, and it makes minor feel weak. So in order to reinstate the 7th, we raise the leading tone from B flat to B natural. So now instead of a flat 3rd, 6th, and 7th, we have just a flat 3rd and 6th. We raise the 7th, we borrow it from major, and now you get harmonic. He just pooped. The 3rd and final form of minor is called melodic minor. And melodic minor is exactly what it sounds like. It's minor, but melodically, it's musically minor, yeah? So what does that mean? It actually means that there are 2 different scales that happen simultaneously. This is where you exchange natural minor, which the top part of natural minor is sol, la, te, do, right? You have that like minor 6th, minor 7th on top, and you replace it with the major sol, la, ti, do. So you borrow sol, la, ti, do from major, where you're supposed to have sol, la, te, do. And because of that, because you have kind of major and minor going on at the same time, they call it melodic minor, because it's very nice and melodic. For example, do, te, le, sol, la, ti, do, sol, do, te, le, sol, la, ti, do, sol, do. And it switches back and forth, and you get this kind of, it's definitely not Eastern, but it's a little bit closer to that. And now that we've gone over all 3 scales, let's go over them in detail. Okay, now that we're back in the classroom, you can officially start to take some notes. This will be on in your yellow notebook. And you can, this is right below our other minor page, which is how to get to minor. And you can start to call this the 3 forms of minor. Boom! This is going to be kind of awkward because I need to leave pauses and just hope you're writing. So, substitute teacher, thank you for taking my class. Please make sure they write. Okay, here we go. 3 forms of minor. At the very top of this, let's go ahead and write in a C major scale, because all of these forms of minor are going to be based off of the scale and how we manipulate it. So at the very, very top, let's just go ahead and write in our C major scale. And we are going to put scale degrees on these. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Make it nice for you. Boom, here's our C major scale. Underneath, I'm going to label the letters and the scale degrees. E is 3, F is 4. At any time, whoever's screen sharing can pause the video and catch up too. Oops. And then at the very end, we have 8 or 1. It's the same thing. Maybe we put little stems on our notes. So you have your C major scale on top, and now let's talk about how to manipulate it into minor, yes? So let's pretend that we're in minor already. We're not talking about relative or parallel or anything like that. We're just playing with our C scale. Maybe I put C over here in a box. Okay, number 1 is going to be, I'll put 1 right here, little parentheses, natural minor. Did I say parentheses? You know what I mean. Natural minor. That is our first one we're looking at. Sure, why not? I'll use parentheses. And to get to natural minor, oh no, we don't care how we get there. We're just there. To achieve natural minor, we simply flat the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th. Yes, this is also how you do parallel minor, but we're pretending that we're already in minor. And you have the flat 3rd, flat 6th, and flat 7th. And underneath here, we're going to write out our C major scale again. But this time we're going to have a flat on the 3rd scale degree. Almost there. The 6th scale degree. And the 7th scale degree. Underneath, same deal. Just for fun, write in the letters and the scale degrees. So make sure you put E flat, A flat, and B flat when you get there. We want to have thorough notes. So we're all, oops, on the same page. Boom, boom, and bam. Okay, so natural minor should be easy peasy. Flat the third, 6, and 7. That's it. That's natural minor. Okie dokie. Okay, I'm gonna go down just a little bit. And here we go. Our next one is gonna be number 2. And this is what we talked about, which is harmonic minor. Harmonic minor right here. Let's see, do I have an instrument nearby? Okay, I have a ukulele. That was probably really loud. So here's C on the ukulele. But if I was in C minor, yeah. If I was in C minor, I would have a flat 7th. So here's C minor, going to G minor, going to C minor. And that sounds fine. There it is. But because of the flat 7th, we're missing the leading tone. And here's C, here's G. This note right here, do, T, T right here, T, do. That little T, or that little B natural that leads to C, is the leading tone. And without it, it sounds a little bit flat. Here's C, here's G minor, and C. And that sounds fine, but it doesn't have the punch that the same punch as having a raised 7th. That's probably hard to hear over the microphone with an out-of-tune ukulele, but let's talk about what that looks like. So back to our notes right here. I'm gonna draw a treble clef. Oh, wait, sorry, I apologize. Under harmonic minor on the right side, we flat the 3rd, flat the 6th, and just for fun here, I'm gonna put, I don't wanna put a natural because we kind of just raise it, but maybe I'll just put flat 3 and flat 6 right here. And we do not flat the 7th. We keep the 7 from major, so we have to borrow it from major. Okay, here we go. So writing out our scale, once again, we're gonna write out our C minor scale, but we're gonna make sure we raise that 7th. F, G, A flat. And just for visual sake, I'm gonna put a natural sign next to my B, so you can very clearly see that that is a raised note right there. Same thing, I write in my letters and my scale degrees. Whoops. A flat, B natural, I put my little natural there just so we all know. And then we end up on C. So creating this half-step relationship on top between the B natural and the C gives us now a good form of harmonic progression that we didn't have before. So I'm just making some chicken scratch over here on the right, but back to natural minor, if we go from C to G to C, this is G minor, and it doesn't have the same punch that C to capital G back to C gives us. And that one B flat is what changes our chord from G major to G minor. So we want to keep that natural sign so we can have the big G chord in the key of C. We call it the big 5 chord. We haven't done chords just yet, but just know that you cannot have a good solid chord progression without having a raised 7th somewhere in there eventually, yeah? So harmonic minor is when we borrow the 7 from major. And then last but not least, this is number 3 down here. This is melodic minor. Oh, good morning, Logan, who just walked in. Good morning, sir. Hello. Logan, sleepyhead. What are you doing this weekend? Yeah. Maybe we try to be on time next time. I know. All right, here we go, guys. Melodic minor. So this one's really interesting. We're going to write a couple of things here, but at first, how about we just do this? We're going to go ahead and flat the 3rd. We're going to raise the 6th, we're going to raise the 7th. I'm going to draw a little slash here. This will make sense in a second. And then the second time we write the scale, it's going to be flat 3, flat 6, flat 7. Okay, so that's kind of confusing. Let's go ahead and break this down. Treble clef at the very beginning. I'm going to draw a measure in the middle of the staff because melodic minor is written going upwards and it's written going downwards. So let's go ahead and talk about that right here. Here we go. So I'm going to first write out my C scale. And it's going to go C, D, E flat on the way up, F, and G. Now, something really interesting happens after G. What happens is we now borrow the rest of the scale from major. And remember, C major is just all white keys, right? So we borrow the A natural, and we borrow the B natural. So that's G, A, B. I ran out of room, and C up top. So if I play that on the ukulele, we have a scale where it's major on top and minor down below. I messed up, but I went back and played it. So kind of funky. On the way up, we have this do, there's a note, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is really funky to sing, and I'll sing it when we come back all together with you guys. But the way down assumes natural minor position. So the way down is just normal, natural, flat the 3rd, flat the 6th, and flat the 7th. What am I doing here? B flat, A flat, F, E flat. I ran out of room because I'm writing all big on an iPad. Womp womp. And then C is down there, I promise. So the way up, we borrow the top. We call it a tetrachord. Tetra means 4. So we borrow the top tetrachord or the top 4 notes of the scale from major. And then on the way back down, we just play the good old-fashioned natural minor scale. So here is the entire scale on the ukulele. Now, why do we do that? Because a lot of music interchanges the sol, la, ti, do from major and the minor. The only thing that makes this melodic minor consistently is that the 3rd is always flatted. So the E flat right here is always lowered. E flat over here is always lowered. So you can ground yourself in minor. And you're switching around between kind of major and minor a little bit. But that 3rd is always nice and lowered, yeah? Okay, so here are the notes. You can pause them, whatever you want to do, anything of the sort. And then we're going to go ahead and just do 2 examples, and then I will let you go. I will release you, okay? Okay, let's get a new color going, shall we? All right, Isel, pick a color. I was also thinking this like kind of pink, kind of lipsticky color or whatever. I like it. All right, good choice, he said. Good choice, good choice. Okay, let's go ahead and write in a scale, shall we? Let's go ahead and just practice. Draw a treble clef. We're just gonna do maybe a couple of these, maybe one of these. All right, Costa, go ahead and pick a letter. G. Okay, sweet. Let's do the key of G. Very nice, Costa. All right, so for G here, you can either whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, or you think to yourself, how many sharps in the key of G? Robert? Yes, 1. 1 sharp is exactly correct. So let's go ahead and write this in properly. We're going to put in our full scale. We're going to put in our scale degrees and our letter names. So take a second, fill this puppy out. Yep, all the way to C. That's the fourth one. Keep it going, all the way to high G. Can't forget our F sharp on the 7th note, which is our leading tone because it leads us directly into G. And leading tone is a vocab word that we will discuss heavily upon my return. All right, so here is our G major scale. It is beautiful, isn't it? Okay, so if I were to ask you on a test or on homework or whatever, and I would say, hey, please go ahead and give me a G natural minor scale, right? So let's say this is natural minor right here. I'll write it over here. Nat minor. So you think to yourself, how do I get to natural minor? I simply flat the 3rd, 6th, and 7th, and it's easy as that. So you look for the 3rd scale degree. Here's B. You flat it. You look for the 6th scale degree. Maybe I'll put my little flat there. You flat it. That gives you E flat. And last but not least, you look for the 7th and you flat it. And the way you flat a sharp is simply getting rid of it. Just natural it out. You don't even need to put the sharp there, just as long as that sharp is gone. You don't need to put the natural there, I'm sorry. As long as that sharp is gone, I know what you're talking about. And boom, we are now in the scale of G natural minor, right? And we went from G major to G natural minor, so obviously that's parallel minor. But which minor did we go to in parallel? We went to natural minor. It's very possible to go to the parallel harmonic minor or the relative melodic minor, right? You can start to mix these up a lot, but I don't want to get too confusing, even though I think you do already know what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and do another one. And this scale, well, actually, you know what? I lied to you. Let's stay on G natural minor for just a second. And the only thing I want to say about this one is how would we make this from natural minor to harmonic minor? Maybe I do this in a different color. You can just maybe watch if you'd like. How do I go from natural to harmonic? Exactly right, Jehu. Yes. You sharp the 7th. You raise the 7th all the way up, yeah? So I go to my 7th notes right here where it has the natural sign, and I'm going to reinstate the sharp it had before. I'm going to borrow whatever it was in major. I'm going to borrow it and put it right back. And now we have this relationship that is really, really funky. An E flat to an F sharp. Whenever you have harmonic minor, it's always going to sound really, really funky because of this relationship right here. Boom. This relationship is not a whole step or a half step. It is bigger than a whole step. This right here is an augmented second. Whoa! It's technically a second. E to F, right? That's 2 letters. E, F, 2 letters. But a whole step is 2 half steps. And E flat to F sharp is 1, 2, 3. That is 3 half steps away, which is bigger than a whole step. We call this an augmented second. We'll talk way more about that when we do intervals together. But it's important that you know that a harmonic minor scale has this really funky augmented second, and you can hear it. Go ahead and check it out. Ooh, can I play this on the uke? Here we go. We're going to test my skills. Here we go. G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F sharp. Ooh, hear those last couple notes. Oops. That sounds a little bit kind of more like Eastern music theory than it does in the West, and that is because the augmented second, because the East happens to use a lot of augmented intervals, and that's where you get that classic da dee da da dee da 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 kind of sound, yeah? Okay, let's go ahead and do another example. Let's go ahead and do just one more, picking a random scale. Let's see, going around. Janie! Oh, Janie, I'm so glad you are finally here. Janie, go ahead and pick a scale. Janie? Janie, are you here today? I was hoping you'd be here today, Janie. Janie, where? You better be here. Oh, you are here? Okay, whew, thank God. I was scared. Janie's here today, right? Okay, Janie. She wants to do A. How about that? She wants to do an A melodic minor scale. Which melodic minor scale? A melodic minor scale. Hey, all right, here we go. We're gonna do a melodic minor scale. So what we're gonna do is we are going to start off by putting a bar line in the middle of our example, because for melodic minor, you have to draw the scale going up and you have to draw it going down. It's the only one that we do that. And we are going to do this major going up and major going down. We always, always, always start with major. So please go ahead and draw in all of your letters, all of your scale degrees. And just because I don't want to keep you forever, the key of A major has 3 sharps. Right, we all knew that. 3 sharps for the key of A major. You can go right 3 times on the circle of fifths. That's how you can figure that out. Or you can reverse engineer your, what's it called? Your order of sharps and flats. That way you can do that too. Or you can start on A and whole half, whole half, all the way up until you get to A again, and you are left with 3 sharps in your scale, which is F sharp, G sharp, and C sharp. Yeah? So that's A major going up, and then I know, I'm sorry to do it to you, we are also going to draw A major going down. And we're being very detailed in our notes, very intentionally, because I want you guys to get this. I want you to get it so much you're bored of drawing the scales because you get it so much. That's a really great problem to have. So same thing, we're going to do it backwards. And I know I can write fast and you're copying me, so please feel free to pause the video. Whoever's in charge of that. Oop. Janie's in charge of that. Janie, if you are here and I'm just ragging on you, I apologize. I am so glad you are in class. Okay, here we go. So there are the notes. Pause it if you want. There are all the scales going up and going down. This is just major. And you always start in major. If you do not, you are going to make mistakes. So please always start in major, at least for now, yeah? Okay, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and change pens back to purple. And let's do this. So A melodic scale, remember, you flat the third going up. So here's my sharp. I'm going to flat the third going up. Ta-da! And I'm going to change that C sharp down here also. Boom. Oh my goodness, I just made the most rookie mistake ever. I put flats. That is bad. I just spent all day telling you not to do that. Put naturals. Because C sharp flatted down is just C natural. Oh my gosh. That would have been embarrassing. Okay, so you flat the third. And remember, on the way up, you don't flat anything. That's what we have in our scale, right? Yeah, you natural the 6th, natural the 7th. So maybe that's confusing language, but you raise it. You borrow it from major, yeah? I guess saying naturaling the 6th and 7th is bad, because if it's sharp, then that just means flatting it. But we want to borrow the 6th and 7th from major. Here they are. I don't change a thing about them. That's another reason why we start in major, because you're gonna end up doing more work for yourself if you try to figure out the minor first. So we have a minor third going up. That's it. Everything else is in major. Now looking at the second half of the scale. The second half of the scale is just natural minor. That's it. Second half is always, always, always natural minor. So I'm going to do our good old procedures, and I'm going to natural out the G. I'm going to put my naturals here so you can clearly see where they all are. I'm going to natural that was the 7th. I'm going to natural the 6th, which is F natural. And I'm going to go ahead and natural the 3rd. So I went from G sharp to G, F sharp to F, C sharp to C, and now I have A natural minor, which is just all white keys. And that makes sense because A is the relative minor pairing of C major, so it makes sense that A minor would have no sharps or flats in it. Yeah? Okay, so from natural to harmonic, all you do is raise the 7th, and then from well, I guess from major to harmonic, all you do is flat the third going up, and then the way down is full natural minor. Okie dokie. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys homework right now, and it's going to be waiting for you on Schoology, yeah? For you to turn in. This is due by our next class, but you might have time to do it in class right away, which is super cool. So here we go. Here is your tarea. I'm going to write it in blue. Always start with the major scale and then change it. Help each other out. Do it with each other, right? Do it on the board, and then heck, take a selfie with it and then turn that in, right? As long as you're all working together or getting this done and learning it, that's all I care about. So here we go. Please go ahead and do, how about a D harmonic scale? That's harmonic minor, of course. So you're going to write out D major, then flat the third and sixth, right? Keep the seventh the same. Let's go ahead and do a, I don't know. I guess we already did C up there. Let's go ahead and do an E natural minor scale. Let's do a couple more here. Let's do an F, get some flats in there, flat practice. Let's do an F melodic minor. Another one. How about a B flat natural minor scale? And last but not least, how about, just for fun, an A flat harmonic scale? That one's going to have a lot of flats in it, so just start off with the A flat major scale, then flat the third, sixth, and seventh, then just raise the seventh up, right? Or don't even flat the seventh, just keep it. All right, and those are the three forms of minor. And if you thought that was cool, check this out. Oh! Absolutely nailed it. Now, because you made it all the way to the end of this lesson, and you watched all the way to the end, I actually have a surprise for you guys. It is in my office and it is waiting for you. So please select a volunteer, stand up, go to the office, pop it open, and you're gonna find a gift on the desk. I'll wait. Seriously, go look. I'm waiting. Oh, what? It's locked? Haha, that's right. That's right. Because maybe the real gift was the music theory you learned along the way. And that is probably the best gift I could give you today. Thank you very much for staying for the lecture. Robert, I believe the rest of the class period is yours. You wanted to teach something today, and I'm very, very excited. Everybody else, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always shoot me a remind, and I will get back to you. All right. Have a beautiful day. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Peace. Bye.